You're in the work program or STEP at school, and you will now receive high school credits that will help you reach your goal of graduating for working. On this week's episode, I'll explain to you why you should take advantage of STEP and work while you're in school. It's the week of September 8th through the 12th, and you're watching the QC STEP Podcast. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of the QC STEP Podcast. My name is Corey Finneran, and this is our second episode of the school year. And on last week's episode, I told you what STEP is and what services you can receive through doors in the STEP program. I'll talk a little bit more about those on this episode, those services, and tell you why you should take advantage of them. But also on last week's episode, I told you what you can expect from the QC STEP Podcast. And if you haven't watched that, you can go back and watch it. If you're on our website, it's the episode that's right below this one. And you can also watch or listen to our episodes through iTunes or Stitcher, and the videos are posted on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, you can find us on there. Go to qcstep.com/Facebook to get to our new Facebook group, and we are at QC Step on Twitter and Instagram. And if you connect with us through those things, then those are ways for you to get new job leads that come to us throughout the week. And then I also post links to articles and videos on employment. If you're applying for a job and you don't have any work experience to put on applications, it's hard to show business owners and interviewing managers what kind of a person you are. And it's hard to show them that you have a good work ethic because you haven't had an opportunity to demonstrate that. Well, there's a way to get real work experience real quick, and as quick as just in one day, and that's through volunteering. And if you have watched this podcast for the last year or two, you'll know that I am a big fan of boosting your work experience through volunteer work. And we have a really big volunteer opportunity that's coming up this weekend. It's the Relay for Life, and they're looking for volunteers. And you can sign up through the Davenport Volunteer Connection. And I wrote a blog post on this, and there are links there that will connect you to the Davenport Volunteer Connection. So if you're applying for jobs and you know that the work history portion of your application is kind of weak and maybe even empty, then take advantage of these volunteering opportunities. To start the school year, I'm kind of starting with the basics. Last week I introduced our STEP program and the QC STEP Podcast. And on this episode, I'm going to talk with you about why you should take advantage of STEP and work while you're in high school. And if you go back to episode number 55, which was during this last school year, I gave you 2 reasons that you should work while you're in school. And that topic is somewhat related to what I'm going to talk about today. So if you go back and watch that episode, you'll notice that I'm wearing the same shirt that I'm wearing today. I did not plan that, and I didn't realize it until I was putting together this episode this morning. So, but to get away from my wardrobe decisions and back on employment talk, because that's what this podcast is about, on that episode, I told you how working while you're in school, it helps you prepare for your future, number 1. And then number 2, it helps you build skills that will help you with life after high school. Things like managing schedules and multitasking and prioritizing responsibilities. I understand that high school students will usually resist getting a job until they're basically forced to, either by parents or teachers. But we actually have a lot of students working right now, and I would assume that most of you that are working, you see the benefits of working while you're in high school. And there's, of course, the money side of things. Everyone likes money. And then there's the benefits that I talk about in episode number 55. Working a job helps you prepare for your future. And it's not a good idea to avoid working while you're in high school, because after you graduate, you'll find yourself with no work experience, no work history, and you'll be desperately trying to find a job. And that will not be easy. You'll find yourself competing for jobs with people that are more proven because they have good work history. And I read an article today, and it said that 75% of high school seniors work some sort of job during their senior year. And you want to be in that 75%. You don't want to be in the 25% that's at a disadvantage by not having work experience. And so how do you keep that from happening? Well, it's really pretty easy. You work while you're in high school. Last week, I explained the different services that you are eligible to receive through STEP. And these are things that you can use to your advantage. As an individual that's certified with DOORS and part of STEP, you're eligible to receive job leads from us. You have access to QCStep.com, this podcast, you have access to Gary and Carrie to get job leads from them, and you're eligible to receive help with applications and resumes. Putting together a resume can allow you to highlight your strengths, and you're going to want to take your time and really work on getting the most out of that piece of paper. I'm sure you've heard the saying that you never get a second chance to make a first impression. Well, many times with applying for jobs, a hiring manager's first impression of you is your application. If you have messy handwriting or spelling errors on your application, a hiring manager may question your attention to detail. So you want your application to be perfect. And with our program, we're here to help you accomplish that. Another thing that you can do to take advantage of STEP and work while you're in school is by doing practice interviews with your STEP teacher or someone from our program. Does the idea of interviewing for a job make you sick to your stomach? Well, it should. Interviewing is very intimidating and not really a pleasant thing to even think about. And if you're meeting with a hiring manager or a business owner, they have something that you want, a job. And not just a job, but money. That money we were talking about earlier. They have it in their pockets, and you want to find a way to get it from them, and that's through a job. Their goal is to hire the person that will be the best employee for them. And so your goal is to show them that you would be the best employee that they can hire. And the first step is to know how you'll answer the questions. So that's what practice interviews will help you with. We can do practice interview, and then you can take your time to fix some of the questions that you maybe should have answered differently, and just get more comfortable with someone asking you questions that you're not expecting. But what you really need to do in an interview is to sell yourself. And I said that their job is to hire the person that would make the best employee. And is the best employee going to be the one that has all of the rehearsed answers? Maybe. But if you can do that and then sell yourself, impress them. If you can impress them and show them that you can not just be prepared for an interview, but really sell your skills and make an impression on them, then you have a better chance of being hired than if you just go into that interview with the rehearsed answers, or even worse, unprepared. And so really that's up to you. Ask your teacher or Gary or Carrie to do practice interviews with you. And those are some ways that you can take advantage of STEP if you're not working. And then there are also ways to take advantage of STEP if you are working. And if you just got hired for a job and you feel like maybe you need a little bit of help learning the responsibilities that you will have with your new position, we can help with that. Our program has job coaches on staff that can help you learn new tasks. And this can be done either on site, on the job. Sometimes we have job coaches that will go and actually help you on the job, short term, maybe 2 or 3 days, however long it takes you to learn the skills that are kind of giving you trouble. And then we also have off-site coaching. And this means that it's not at your job, but helping you learn the tasks when you're not working. For example, I know that probably doesn't make much sense, but for example, if one of your responsibilities is to run a cash register, our coach could maybe meet with you during study hall or something like that and work on like some money skills or just how to make change and things like that, whatever it is that may be giving you trouble. And another way that you can take advantage of STEP if you are working is if you know your responsibilities and everything is going well at the job, but then something comes up. Let's say that there is a situation at work with a coworker and you're not sure how to handle it. Or let's say your hours on the schedule go down and you want to know how to approach your employer on this situation or anything else that's similar to that. Your STEP teacher, Gary and Carrie, are here to help you through those situations and give you advice on how to handle it. And the tagline that we've had for QCStep.com is to help you get a job, keep that job, and become a successful employee. And a lot of the time we focused on the getting the job part. But keeping the job and becoming successful, it's really just as important for our program. So those are some of the ways that you can take advantage of our program. And if you're part of our program, you have something that a lot of other high school students don't have when they're looking for jobs. And that's 80 years of helping people with employment. Between Don, Cindy, Carrie, Gary, and myself, we have 80 years of experience. So why would you not use that kind of experience to your advantage? I don't have many job leads for you this week. There just weren't that many advertised. But I went back and listened to episode number 55 before I did this episode. And in that episode, I talked about how 80% of job openings are not advertised. So that means for every job lead that I give you, there's at least 4 leads that are not advertised anywhere. So how do you find those job openings? Well, you ask your friends and you ask your family members if their work is hiring. If you're out shopping or if you're in businesses, ask if they're hiring. So I just have 2 job leads to give you today. Pizza Hut in Moline is hiring team members, and you can find the link to the online application below this player and underneath the write-up on the post. I have the job leads. And then there's Bud Skyline Inn, and they're hiring all positions. And there is no online application for that. You need to apply in person, and the address is 2621 69th Avenue in Moline. That's right by the airport. And if neither of these openings will work for you, I would guess that a lot of the job leads from last week are probably still open, especially the seasonal ones. So you can find those at the bottom of the post for last week's episode, and that was episode number 63. So just go to qcstep.com and look through those openings. And if you would like help with applications for these or any other job leads, Gary or Carrie would be happy to help you, and you can get a hold of them through your teachers, or you can email me, info@qcstep.com. So I hope that on this episode I convinced you to take advantage of STEP and to work while you're in high school. You have a lot of resources and you have a lot of people that want to help you become successful in work. My plan is that next week I will talk about how to prepare for your job search, and I'll talk about the things that you should be doing to get ready before you ever fill out that first application. Thanks for watching this week's episode, and I will be back next week with another episode of the QC Step Podcast.